I've been in this house for the last 2 years, and let me tell you, it's not glamorous. It's a small, quiet home, nothing fancy. But it keeps me alive. My setup includes a ventilator, feeding pumps, and a bunch of machines that hum all day, every day, 24/7. And all of that, as you can imagine, requires a constant, uninterrupted power supply. We've got a backup battery system that can last around 8 hours, and trust me, it's saved us a few times during storms. But nothing, not even the strongest storm, could prepare us for the chaos that was about to come in the form of our new HOA president, Karen. Karen moved into our neighborhood about 6 months ago, and from the moment she stepped foot on our quiet suburban street, she decided she was born to rule. It started out like these things always do, with the usual HOA nonsense. She'd complain about the height of the grass, whine about lawn gnomes, and send out passive-aggressive newsletters like it was her personal mission to make everyone's life miserable. My family had informed the HOA board, including Karen, about my medical situation right from the start. We provided documentation, even had a nurse explain the critical need for continuous power. They all seemed to understand. At least, that's what we thought. The trouble began last Tuesday. My dad had just finished some yard work and left the lawnmower on the edge of the driveway. He was planning to put it away after his shower. But 20 minutes later, there was a knock on the door. Karen stood there, clipboard in hand, pointing at the lawnmower. "That's a violation of our aesthetic standards," she said with a voice dripping in condescension. My mom, trying to keep the peace, explained that my dad was just about to put it away. But Karen wasn't having any of it. "Rules are rules," she said, her voice getting more insistent. "This is your second warning this month. The first was for your trash bins being visible for an extra hour." Mom, keeping her cool, just nodded and closed the door. It was the usual Karen power trip, nothing new. But we were wrong. The very next day, we got a formal violation notice in the mail. And the reason? Unapproved exterior modifications. We were confused. Had we changed something on the house? No. The only thing we could think of was a small, discreet medical alert sign near our front door. It was there for paramedics in case of an emergency. My dad called Karen to ask about it. Her response was chillingly calm. "All signs must be approved by the architectural committee. Submit a request and we will consider it." This was beyond ridiculous. The sign wasn't a decoration. It was a safety measure. We felt like we were being targeted for no reason other than Karen's ego. So my parents decided to attend the next HOA meeting, hoping the other board members would see reason. But the following Friday, just before the meeting, things escalated in a way we never saw coming. I was resting in my room, my nurse Sarah monitoring my vitals, when the comforting hum of my ventilator suddenly switched to a series of frantic beeps. The power was out. Immediately, my backup battery system kicked in, and its alarm joined the chorus of the machines. My mom ran into my room, her face pale with panic. Sarah rushed to check the main panel. "That's weird," Sarah said. "The breaker's off." Not just the breaker for the house. The main line feeding the house was off. My dad bolted outside to the utility box. And there she was, Karen, standing next to the open power box with a self-satisfied smirk. My dad saw red. "What did you do?" he yelled. Karen didn't flinch. She was holding a lock. "Your account has an outstanding balance of $150 for unpaid fines," she said, as if she were delivering a verdict. "Per the HOA bylaws, we have the right to suspend services for delinquent accounts. This includes access to community-managed utilities." My dad froze for a second. "You're cutting off power to a man on life support over a fine?" "Per the bylaws," she repeated coldly. The audacity was beyond belief. We were dealing with a woman who cared more about petty rules than human life. My dad tried again, his voice tight with frustration, explaining about my ventilator, my condition. "You're endangering his life." Karen shrugged. "That's not the HOA's concern." "You should have thought of that before breaking the rules," she said, and then she walked off, back to her perfectly manicured lawn. It felt like the world was closing in on us. Sarah was already on the phone with the power company, and 911 was on their way as a precaution. But the power company said it could take an hour to get a crew out. We didn't have that kind of time. But my dad wasn't about to sit back and wait. He's a resourceful man. He called his old friend, who owned a large-scale event company. 10 minutes later, his friend called back. "Help is on the way," he said. Less than 45 minutes later, a massive semi-truck-sized industrial generator appeared on our street. It was loud, so loud, It shook the windows of every house on the block, including Karen's. She stormed out of her house, face red with fury. "What is this?" she screamed. "You can't park a commercial vehicle here. This is a residential area." 2 technicians jumped out and immediately started running thick cables toward our house. My dad walked over to Karen, a grim smile on his face. "This," he said, pointing to the massive generator, "is our new power source. Since you've decided to play God with the city's power grid." Karen's jaw dropped. "You can't do that." "The noise, the fumes, it's an HOA violation." "Call the cops," my dad said coldly. "Tell them why you cut power to a man on life support. Tell them why this truck is here. They're already on their way." Just then, 2 police cars and the power company truck arrived, lights flashing. Neighbors came out of their homes to watch the chaos unfold. The officers listened to my dad, then to Karen's sputtering defense about bylaws. One officer walked over to the locked utility box. "Did you put this lock on the public utility box?" the officer asked. "Yes," Karen replied, puffing up with pride. They were in violation. The officer's next words were like music to our ears. "That's tampering with public utilities, ma'am. That's a felony." Karen's face drained of color as she was cuffed and escorted to the police car, muttering about her rights and the HOA handbook. The power company guys cut the lock in about 10 seconds, restoring our power. The generator crew packed up and left. The street was silent again. The next day, we received a letter of apology from the rest of the HOA board. Karen was removed as president and was facing serious charges. The fines were dropped, and they issued a formal apology for her actions. We never saw Karen again. Rumor has it, she sold her house and left in the middle of the night. Our street is quiet again, but the story of the day the giant generator rolled into town has become local legend. Sometimes, when you're dealing with a bully who thinks they hold all the power, the best thing to do is show them what real power looks like. In our case, that power was 1.2 megawatts loud and parked right in front of her house. Thanks for watching, and remember, stand up for what's right. Moral lesson: power, when used to manipulate or harm others, always has a way of coming back around.